Hi, Jenna. Thank you so much for joining this podcast episode. Really appreciate it. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have a conversation with you, and we have an interesting topic in hand. So, which is like habits and time management. And a lot of us are
hmm
guilty of that. We always wanted to have like a good habits. We always want to manage our time really well, but eventually we don't tend to do that. And after that, we burn out and realize now I need to make the change. And we do like a new resolution all the time. So,
Yeah.
coming to that, I would love to know more about yourself a little bit. How did you come to you with your habits, your own time management, and now you teach others? How when did you realize this is the part of my life I need to improve on, or make some difference in it?
Yeah, so it comes to an early point in my career. I was working as a PSW, which is a personal support worker here. It's just below a nurse in a long-term care facility. And
Mm.
I had just come out of school. I was really eager to make some money, and they had a lot of overnight shifts available. So I thought, okay, great. And then the overnight shift would lead into a day shift because somebody would call in sick. I'm like, awesome. I get double time and I get a free meal. So I
Yeah.
started working quite a bit. And I was in it. Like I didn't have kids. I had a boyfriend at the time and two cats, right? So I didn't have much waiting for me at home. And I thought, okay, this is my period where I hustle, I grind. It's that mentality, like I have to work hard right now and then I get to do the things and have a life because I just come fresh out of school. So I was in that mode of wanting to work, which is great to have work ethic,
Yeah.
but it's pushing it a bit too far. I didn't see it that way. And I had a lot of my family being like, okay, just like relax a little bit or make sure you get some time to breathe. And I was like, no, 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 work, work, work. And I saw the paychecks and I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So then what it led to was I was drinking, I don't even know how many coffees a day because we had free unlimited coffee at work.
Yeah.
So you get used to it. And I'm just shooting my adrenals full of caffeine throughout the day. And then I'm just running on fumes. I'm barely eating because I'm running from patient to patient, trying to make sure everybody's good.
Mm.
And I end up going home and not being able to sleep because I'm just so wired. And so then I don't sleep and then I go back to work and then it's just this really vicious cycle and became pretty toxic. So after a few months of doing that, I remember I was feeding one of my patients. And at this point, I was taking caffeine in terms of consuming it through coffee. And
Yeah.
then I found caffeine pills and I was like, oh my gosh, these are amazing. Awful. So what it led to was me sitting there trying to feed this patient, and all of a sudden my body's just like shaking and I couldn't control it. And I was like,
Wow.
holy crap, what's
Yeah,
happening?
that's scary, isn't it?
It's so scary. And I had no idea what was going on. One of the nurses is like, you're not okay. Like, you need to go to the hospital. We were right beside a hospital, so it was really convenient. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. Like, I don't even know. And I could barely speak, like a very slurred speech. So, anyways, I went to the hospital there, and it's like a small town, so you get in right away. And the nurses were amazing. They're like, "Yeah, like a bit of anxiety you're having right now." And I'm like, "Well, I don't really have anxiety." And they're like, "Well, in case you do," and they're like, "How much caffeine have you been consuming?" And I was like, well, I've been drinking coffees throughout the day and I've been taking these caffeine pills. And the nurse looked at me, she's like, I don't know how you're standing right now with the amount of
Yeah.
caffeine you've been taking. And so I went home, I took a week off work, and then I tried to get back into it. But when I tried to get back into it, my body was giving me all the signals like it didn't want to be there. And so I was off of all the caffeine. I would only have like one or two coffees a day now. And so I started dragging myself and I kind of got into a slump. I wouldn't call it depression because I do have friends with depression. I don't think it was that bad, but it was definitely like I was at a low at that point in my life. And I thought, okay, well, there has to be something better than this. Like I need to manage my time better and I can't be working like a maniac. And so I found different habits to stack, more positive habits, I should say. So I did like a complete audit of what I was doing at that time. And I scratched all my bad habits and I replaced them with more positive ones over time. And so that's how I became obsessed with habits. I read just every book that you can get your hands on about habits. And then I became obsessed with time management. How can I maximize my time and not exchange time for money?
Yeah.
Because time is the only non-renewable resource. I can make more money but I can't get my time back. And you have a child and I have a child. And as soon as you have a child, you realize, oh my God, time is a thief. It's finite. Like I
Right.
need to make sure I hold on to this. So
Yeah.
it even kind of like accelerated that or just magnified that want, need, and drive to be able to maximize my time. So that's kind of the background of how I became literally obsessed with time management and habits.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like we have to learn hard way, isn't it? Like everything, like for finding our habits or like managementing time. But remember, I said earlier, like I nearly had a stroke that mimicked like a stroke as my anxiety attack.
Yeah.
And this is the only one person to blame, which is me, because I was doing meditation, I was doing yoga prior to that, and suddenly prior to this event happens, before 2 weeks, I'm having like a stressful moment, stressful events is happening one thing another. And I stopped doing my meditation. I stopped doing my yoga because I injured myself on my wrist while I was doing my weightlifting. And that put me off. And I was like, I'm gonna have some rest days, and like when I feel better again, I'm gonna start my routine. And I've been lazy. And in UK, it was like snowing that time, like, and I didn't feel like doing anything. I feel like more cozy. I'm waking up a bit late, and the stressful moment I couldn't take it easily like normally I would, because if I was doing meditation, I was doing my yoga and like weightlifting, it actually helps me like tackle my day-to-day stress. Because I wasn't doing that, because I distracted with my habits, I got the
Mhm.
anxiety attack, and now I realize like what's actually happening to me. And so whatever happens with us, our body and everything, I think like most of the time like we are the one to blame, and we need to be responsible for that. So certain times, like if the accident happens, like you in a car crash or things happens, obviously it's not your fault. Someone else hit it, but sometimes like we've become like overweight. Sometimes we got certain diseases because of our own thing, like what we consume in every single day. So moving
Mhm.
forward, like when you realize you've been consuming like too much caffeine, and that actually gave you the anxiety attack, or like is actually damaging your internal organ or body, whatever you say, how
Yeah.
do you acknowledge that? Like, I need to make the change, or I need to start a new habit. What I need to do. So, how did you plan out like everything to moving forward with your habits?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I kind of did an audit of what my day looked like. So from when I woke up in the morning, what I would go and do. So for instance, back then, I would wake up and, you'd kind of drag yourself out of bed. And I didn't really have a consistent routine either. That was another huge aspect. I would go to bed kind of whenever, and I would watch TV before I went to bed. And then I would wake up if like I didn't have to work, I just kind of wake up whenever I wanted to. And I was always just kind of dragging myself unless I
Yeah.
had my cup of coffee. And a lot of people say that, don't talk to me until I have my cup of coffee, right? And so it's becomes the norm. And so that's what I thought, like, this is the norm of being an adult. I'm adulting. This is how it's supposed to be. I'm always
Mm,
supposed to be tired. And that's not true. And so basically, I just did a total audit of what my day looked like. And I realized I was doing a couple of things. So I was kind of waking up willy nilly all over the place. I'd then be scrolling on social media. So I'm consuming all of this content
yeah.
like on autopilot, not realizing, right? And so I'm doing all of that. And then maybe I would like watch TV or the news or something. And then I would skip breakfast more often than not. And then I wouldn't move my body. I would just go and kind of do whatever I needed to do in terms of responsibilities, or I would go straight to work. And then on top of that, I had a very physical job. Like it's very physically demanding. You're moving patients from their bed to their
Mm,
wheelchairs, or you're helping them walk around and all that stuff. So with that type of job, I thought, well, I'm moving around all the time. I probably don't need to work out. I'm really tired at the end of the day. And so I justified not training because I thought, well, I'm already moving and I'm doing like all of these steps, right? At my Fitbit,
yeah.
I'm like 30,000 steps. I'm like, I'm good. So then I wasn't exercising on top of that when I had previously been an athlete. So my body is just kind of like, what the F is going
Mhm.
on? Then I wasn't eating healthy. So I did all of this and wrote it down. Like I was just so meticulous and granular with everything. And I looked at it and there were so many bad habits stacked on top of one another. And then, sure, I had some good habits, of course. I would shower and brush my teeth and do those things. But overall, I wasn't drinking enough water. I wasn't eating a balanced diet. I wasn't eating regular meals at all. Like at the time, I don't even know how I fed myself. I think I ate like one meal a day because I was just like running on autopilot.
Wow.
And that brings me to my main point is I realized, and so many of us are doing this in this day and age because of hustle culture, and it's almost like a bragging right to be busy. It's that we run on autopilot from the moment we wake up to the moment we lay our head. And then when we lay our heads at night, we can't really rest because our minds are just trying to catch up with everything that happened in that day. And so what I realized at that moment was I needed to really habit switch things. So I needed to rewire my brain in terms of how I did things and take myself off of automation and
Yeah.
more intentional and being present and really parenting myself in a way to be like, nope, this is what you're doing. So for instance, social media, I was not allowed to go on my phone to scroll in the morning until like 10 a.m. or something like that. I would set very concrete rules the way we do with kids and screen time. And
Yeah.
so I was very regimented. So I wrote out kind of a list of rules, if you will, to counteract my bad habits at the time. It's a lot, but it definitely helped me create more structure because I truly believe habits are the structure that we need to be able to kind of stay in our lane and drive our path forward where we want to go because our habits make up who we become over time. And I don't want to look back 10 years from now and be like, this girl was on autopilot, killing herself, working a job that, she was just a number, first of all, and she made the income,
Yeah.
but she didn't get to enjoy any process of it. So that was really my process and my kind of low moment of being able to be like, okay, I need to rebuild and be very intentional with where I'm spending my time.
Yeah, that's great. So you you're a mother yourself, right? You have a child, and I have a child as well. So when you have a child, then life gets different way. You have to structure your
Yeah.
time is so much important. You have to give them a time and attention. Also, your partner, as well as like if you have a career, then it gets super shrink. And with that, like looking after your body, your mind is just not easy to things to do. A lot of people
Mhm.
struggle on that. So how do you manage your time in terms of like you can balance your mental health, you can balance your physical health, and as well as like you can look after your partner, you look after your child as well, and giving them time and building your business as well. For like a woman, it's not easy always.
Yeah, there's a lot of balls in the air, and not every ball is staying perfectly in the air at all times. And I
Yeah.
think understanding that and accepting that is a huge thing, especially for women, but also men as well, knowing that you're not Superman or Superwoman. Like that's just unattainable. And so you're really shooting yourself in the foot if you're trying to be like all of the things simultaneously.
Yeah.
So there's seasons in life where, I'm really focused on my career, so I need a bit more help with my son, or I'm really focused in self-development. So career is just kind of working in the background so I can be learning over here for the business, but also for my life. So right now, like how things are structured, one main rule that I have every day is I create before I consume. And so, going back to that social media thing, people consume so early. They wake up to their phone and they start consuming. I'm a creative human being, so I naturally kind of gravitate towards these things. So if it's writing, journaling, creating content for my business or whatever, like I'm doing those types of things first thing, because that fills my cup. But even before I start to do that, I make sure that I fill my cup with my positive habits. So habit stacking. So when I wake up in the morning, I will do yoga first thing in the morning to start moving my body. And then from there, I'm going to do some sort of meditation because I know that's what makes me feel good. And
Yeah.
it's like like those things, make you feel good and they fill your cup and they make you the best version of yourself so you can show up 100% for your family, 100% for your career when you're in those modes, right? Otherwise, if you're not filling your cup and it's constantly draining, then when you get to having to or getting to spend time with your son, you're drained. There's nothing left to give. So I think the element of self care for me became really important. But then there's the concept of time. There's only
Yeah.
24 hours in a day. Like, what can we do? And kids are demanding mommy, daddy constantly, right? And we need to make them feel secure and that their needs are met. but also have really strong boundaries in terms of being able to have self-care on our end. So I started to have to wake up earlier in the morning. I thought, okay, well, if I can't squeeze it in when he's needing to do his thing in the morning, we have his morning routine that I'm trying to get him in and then make sure he's fed and all that stuff. So I need to wake up earlier so I can make sure that I'm the best mommy whenever he wakes up. So I started waking up at 4 in the morning, and then I started doing my yoga, my meditation, then I do my work. And then from there, by the time he actually woke up, I'd filled my cup and done all the things that I needed to do so that when I showed up for him, I wasn't thinking about work and I wasn't thinking about, oh, I still need to do my meditation. I still need to do my yoga. I got that out of the way. And then now I'm showing up for him. And then from there, there's different elements that we kind of do at home in terms of like independent play. I'm a very big advocate of independent play. I think kids
Right.
learn a lot from playing by themselves.
Yeah.
And so we do time blocks. I hang out with him in the morning for the first hour or two, and then he knows it's independent play. Mommy has to work. And so I'm sitting beside him, I'm working on my computer, and he gets to see me happy at work and what
Yeah.
I'm doing. But then he also gets to play and just live his life and play with the dog while I'm around. So we do time blocks throughout the day to really structure our day so he knows exactly what's to come as well, and he feels supported in those habits. So that's how we try and structure everything. Does it go according to plan every day? No, he's a
Right.
toddler. So you never know what if they're going to choose chaos that morning, right? But you kind of adjust on the fly as much as possible. But at least by doing my morning routine, I know as long as I get my butt out of bed in the morning, I'm going to be able to check off all these boxes and just win the morning. And then the rest of the day is however it unfolds, essentially.
Yeah, that's the key thing to do. Otherwise, like the day goes with you, like by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you start getting emails, posts, everything, phone ringing, everyone wake,
Yeah.
and everyone need your attention. Your children, if you need to drop them to school or pick them up, there is a chaotic moment happens. So if you wake up 6 a.m., 7 a.m., that gives you like a 1 or 2 hour for yourself, like
Yeah.
look after yourself, your health and well-being. And yeah, even though this morning I woke up about 3 o'clock because we are fasting, 3 o'clock, then 3 till 5. We did our prayers, eating and everything,
Yeah.
meditation, yoga. Then I
Yeah.
went sleep, then woke up at 9 again. Then I did meditation again. Then I went with my day. So there is a
Yeah.
lot of times like for myself and in between. So when I get the break, I need to do them. Not everyone got the luxury to do that. Like you probably have like
Right.
a job, you have to go 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, but you can wake up a bit earlier and go sleep a bit earlier. That actually helps for get that time balance rather than watching a Netflix for like a 12 a.m. and then you wake up at 8 a.m. and you have to rush. You don't have the time for like having a good breakfast. And that actually long run, you're gonna burn you out and you're gonna make your system worse as well. So yeah, we're coming to the end of this podcast, Jenna. It's been a great pleasure having you, and it's a great conversation. So those wants to know
Mm.
more about yourself, or like want to help, or they want to sort out their routine or habits, how they can find you or like work with you.
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's at Jenna Zeng, JennaZeng. And you can DM me there. That's where I hang out. Or there's LinkedIn as well, just my name, Jenna Zeng. And I'm happy to answer any questions and help support in any capacity.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I wish you
Yeah.
best of luck with your business, your personal life, and I hope you have a wonderful day ahead. And thanks for coming today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're most welcome. So that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode. I hope you got some value from it and you enjoyed our conversation. Anyone interested to learn more about Jenna, visit her uh, Instagram and LinkedIn platforms, and you can reach out to her as well. Until then, talk to you in the next episode. Take care.